Multiple greetings, everyone. Happy Monday. I hope that you enjoyed the weekend, and I also hope that you are ready to dive in to week 4 of research in higher education. This week, we are focusing on annotated bibliographies, and this is in preparation for helping you to um, prepare your own annotated bibliography assignment on your selected established scholar in the field of higher education and student affairs. We're also doing a little bit of an experiment this week, so I'm excited. We're going to be working with some new online software called Hypothesis. And what this software allows us to do is to actually engage in collective note-taking, highlighting, annotating, the production of marginalia, and engage in a conversation about an open access article. So open access journals are becoming increasingly popular, and basically what this means is that rather than being hidden behind a paywall, open access journals are free for everyone, and they also put a lot of their information directly onto the web. So the benefit of this, aside from the cost savings, is that it also allows us to engage in a conversation around the research in a collective fashion in a way that we've not been able to do before. And Hypothesis is going to help us do that. So in the rest of this video, I'm going to sort of explain some of the way that Hypothesis works, and this will help to set everybody up to be engaged in this activity throughout the course of the week. I'm also excited because as we produce notes, questions, insights, and other marginalia on the selected article, one of the article's authors, Dr. Tricia Seifert from Montana State University, is going to be chiming in throughout the week to be a part of this process. She's agreed to help us see how this works, and I'm excited about that. And it's also exciting for all of you because you'll be able to engage with an actual someone who actually wrote a research article that was published in a very important journal, the AERA Open Journal. So as I've been saying, the first thing you'll need to do is set up a Hypothesis account. I have a link to the Hypothesis website in this week's module for those of you who have not yet done that. And in addition, before you get started with Hypothesis, the first thing that you'll want to do after your account is set up is join our group for Higher Ed 5379. The reason for this is that I will be able to then keep track of everybody who has done annotations, and also I'll be able to sort of keep a little bit of a log of what sorts of annotations have been done in the article. And by annotations, what I really mean is what sort of marginalia has been produced on the article. What sorts of questions are people asking? What sorts of definitions are they giving? What sorts of other insights are they producing by reading? And as you can see, some folks in our class have already started working with the software today, and so that's great that they're able to do that. Now, once you're in this group and once you have your account set up, then what you'll want to do is actually go to the article that is selected for this week. Again, the link is in this week's module, and we are reading an article called 10 Challenges and Recommendations for Advancing Research on the Effects of College on Students. This was just published earlier this year, so it's very recent, and it strikes right at the heart of what we're talking about in this class and throughout the program, which is how do we conduct effective research about students in higher education, about higher education environments, and about the overall higher education process. Now, what Hypothesis will do is it will allow you to actually annotate the article. So I want to just talk, I'm saying annotate, but what I really mean is take notes on the article, highlight things, raise questions, things of, this nature. So this is done just as if you were like highlighting a PDF or if you were using track changes in a Microsoft Word document, more or less is how it happens. So as you start reading the article, what you'll see is you'll see that there are certain sections of text that have been highlighted. And this means that somebody who has used the Hypothesis software has actually left a note about this. And what you can actually do is click on some of the highlighted text and you'll be able to see who left a note, right? So in this case, you see that Janelle in our class here highlighted this sentence: the current synthesis collected information from over 10,000 sources that appeared over a 10-year review period, which roughly corresponds to the first decade of the 21st century. Okay, now what Janelle has done here is she's just left a note, right? She says, wow, that's a large number of sources. What methods did you use to accumulate so much data, and how did they ensure validity? So that's a great question. She's posing a question about how this works. And what we could do is, if it's a general question, then anybody could answer that by clicking on this little reply button. This might be a question for Dr. Seifert to answer about how they actually did this. But you'll see as you go through that different things will stick out to people. So one of the ways to think about this is going back to the first week of class when we were talking about how do you critically read a text, right? So you might revisit Rishi's recommendations about, for example, you want to look for things that leave you perplexed. So those might be questions that you want to ask. And that could be everything from a question like this, right? How did we accumulate 10,000 sources? What was that like? What is the process actually like? To a more general question like, I don't understand this particular method. I don't understand what you mean when you say this, whatever the case is. Does anyone understand this? So you might pose some questions. You might also pose some insights. So you might be reading this article and you might go, hey, that speaks to my experience in college, or I think that that's a really important thing that we haven't thought about at my institution. You might just put a general note like that. You might also put some kind of idea about how something in the article might be integrated into your own work, right? This is the arrow that Rishi talks about, the forward thinking of how do you use the research in actual practice. So you might say, this seems like a good idea. You might read something and be like, oh, I'm really interested in this particular idea. I might send this on to the dean of my department or the dean of our college or whatever the case is. So there's lots of different ways that you can interact with this. It's just about getting into the process of critically reading a research article and being unafraid to do so. Now, since we're doing this collectively, what you'll find as the week goes on is that a lot of people will be leaving different types of comments, notes, things of that nature. And that can sometimes get a little bit confusing, frustrating, and also you don't want to necessarily just replicate what other people have already done, but you also don't want to, I don't necessarily want to set up a situation where people don't read the article clean. So my objective here in showing you how this works is to allow you to see that there's a way to track the comments, the questions, and the other things, and you can engage in a conversation. So this is not just about Dr. Seifert or myself engaging in this conversation, but if you find something that one of your classmates says to be very insightful, then go ahead, click a reply, and add some information, post a response, share links, do whatever you want to do. But when you read the article the first time, what you might want to do is actually have a clean copy of the article. And you can do that in Hypothesis. There's a little toolbar over here. So when you log in, since there's already marginalia and other things attached, what you might want to do is clear all of the, hide the highlights so that you have a clean copy. And so there's this little kind of eyeball looking icon on the plugin. And if you just do that, it turns the highlights off. It doesn't erase them. They're still there. So it's not like you're erasing someone's comments. But what this allows you to do is to go through and actually read the article for yourself and do your own annotations. So if I wanted to, talk about this particular thing here, I could leave a quote or I could just highlight it. In most cases, I'm going to say that I want to leave an annotation of some sort because I want to be able to be a part of the conversation that we're having here in the course. So that's an impactful way of being able to read the article for yourself without other people's necessarily influencing the way that you read the article. And then after you've gone through and done all of your reading and you've put in all your annotations and you've done all of that, then you can go ahead and click this off and you'll see that everything here is going to be re-highlighted and your comments will then be added, and you can go through the document like I said, and you can literally just click on any of these and you'll be able to see the different notes and who left them in the course. So that's the first part of this assignment, is being engaged this week in critically reading this article. Now, the second part of this assignment is to actually write an annotated bibliography, a short paragraph that summarizes this particular article. So there are a couple of resources in the module on resources for research that talk about how you actually write a full-fledged annotated paragraph. And this is what you'll be doing next week for your project on the established scholars in the field. So remember, you're going to have to find 3 sources from a peer-reviewed journal or a reputable book chapter for your established scholar, read those pieces, and then do annotations on each of those, an annotated paragraph. So that paragraph about this particular article will be due on Sunday, and then I will quickly give you insights into those early next week so that you are able to then go through the process of completing your annotated bibliography, which will be due 2 Sundays from now. So I hope that this little experiment in doing collective reading, collective note-taking, engaging in a conversation through an open journal, using Hypothesis will be a fruitful exercise. Like I said, we're testing this out. We're going to see how it goes, but already it looks like some of your classmates have been in here, and that's really good. So I'm looking forward to being able to be a part of this conversation with everybody throughout the week. I welcome Dr. Seifert into our class and thank her for being here with us throughout the week to answer some of these questions that you might have and to be a part of the process. And if you have any problems with downloading, setting up a Hypothesis account, adding the plugin to your web browser so that you're able to use it, or any of that, then please let me know so that I am able to assist you with that. In addition, of course, this week we're going to have some reading, so make sure that you are chimed in to the full module to catch the chapter reading that we're going to be doing. And other than that, we should have a very productive week. I will be back at the end of the week, not only to sort of recap this activity that we're doing throughout the week here, but also to provide you with a sort of big ideas podcast that'll come on Sunday, a big ideas podcast about some of the main takeaways from this week's overall discussion about annotated bibliographies, collective note-taking, and the other topics that we're addressing in the module. So please, again, let me know if you have any questions. Hit me up on our Slack channel, on my social media, send me an email, or feel free to ping me by phone if that is the best way to get in touch with me. And I look forward to seeing you all this week here on the AERA Open Journal through our Hypothesis software. So thanks so much.